So we're going to get started by just talking about meditation at a baseline level, right? So what is meditation? Right? When you say that word, what pops into your head? Eyes closed, sitting cross-legged, right? Zoning out or whatever. That's kind of what we think of meditation. Relaxation is a or de-stressing, whatever you want to call it, is a huge entry point into meditation. I would say it's probably the overwhelming vast majority of people that start meditating is to help with stress, anxiety, all those types of things. For good reason. Meditation is great at doing that. But how is meditation relaxing you? This is something that I think is really important, and it's something that's not always communicated very clearly in some presentations of meditation, in my opinion. So meditation is actually a technique of familiarizing your mind with something. Anything. It doesn't have to just be relaxation. It can be kindness or gratitude or any of these other countless awesome things that we would love to be super familiar with. But it's all about familiarizing your mind with something, right? So think self-care and mindfulness. Yes, great. Absolutely, Lisa. So let's think about something that you're really familiar with, because when we think about familiarizing our mind, it's kind of a weird phrase, right? So what's something you're really familiar with? Like really familiar with? Maybe like walking, right? Now, you've been walking for a lot of years in your life. You're pretty good at it, right? You can walk backwards. I'm walking backwards in place right now. Sleep. Oh, that's good. Abby, anxiety. So that's good too. We're going to talk a little bit about how this works both ways. But let's pick something neutral. Let's do walking, right? So walking, you're great at it, I can imagine. You've been walking for many years, and so clipping your toenails. Okay. You probably are pretty familiar with that. It's a visceral image. I'm doing walking. So walking's pretty straightforward for you right now. You don't have to think about it. If I was like, hey, go walk, you would just be like, all right. And you would just go do it. So you don't have to think too much about walking. In fact, you're so good at walking that you can do all these other things while you're walking. You know? Now, when you were a kid, there's probably some pictures or videos of you stumbling about as you're trying to learn how to walk, right? It wasn't always so graceful. It was very difficult, right? You maybe take a little step, plop down, right? Kind of wobbling. It didn't really come naturally at first, right? So what happened in between you kind of bumbling about trying to walk and you being one of the greatest walkers that ever lived? Practice, right? Familiarizing your body, your mind, every aspect of walking, becoming so familiar to you that walking starts to come pretty naturally. It's like second nature. The same is true with all things that you've learned, and included in that, mental mind states, right? So that's kind of what we focus on with meditation. So relaxation, right, the kind of mental state of being calm and relaxed, falls under this category as well, right? So the more you practice being relaxed, the easier it's going to come to you, right? And that's where meditation really comes into play. Meditation is not creating relaxation. It's not pulling it out of thin air. It is teaching you to get very familiar with your relaxed self. There is a version of you that is very chill and relaxed. And I am sure if you're anything like me, you'd like it to come out all the time. And that's what we're here to do. We're becoming so familiar with that version of us that it starts to pop up more often than it does right now. Right? Now, Abby mentioned anxiety. And this is a really important point, right? You need that version. You have that version. So see that's the thing. Is like if you sometimes we'll think to me like, it's not me. All right? But if we think hard enough, it's in there, right? We've been that person, right? And we can definitely be that person more often by training in meditation, training in familiarity. Meditation and the word familiarity are kind of synonymous. So Abby mentioned anxiety, which is really a really interesting thing to mention when we were talking about things we're really familiar with, because this works both ways, right? Now, it'd be great if we just become super familiar with all these wonderful things, but yeah, it is also true for negative mental states. So anxiety, anger is a really good one, right? Very easy to get angry. Don't really have to try. Somebody says something to us, we don't say, hey, pause, I need to get angry. We just get angry. And the same with anxiety, jealousy, all these kind of things that we're trying to minimize, these mental states that we don't really particularly like. We can become so familiar with them that they start to pop up really often, right? And that's not because you're inherently anxious or inherently angry or whatever. It's just that you've had some practice with it, right? You had enough practice getting angry that your mind, when a situation arises that your mind identifies as being annoying, your mind's like, hey, I know exactly what to do. I'm going to get angry. You just sit back. I'll take it from here, right? So it works both ways. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today because we want to start to, if we think of it like a seesaw, it's an old playground device, really going back. We're going to try to tilt the seesaw in the other direction in favor of the positive. Cool? Mary, I'm glad you're here. I also need this today. Okay, cool. So that's kind of what meditation is. That's kind of what's going on. We're teaching our mind to become familiar with something. It's about choice. What do you want your mind to be super familiar with? Right? Now, that's all well and good, but we have to first learn how to, what we'll call like pacify your mind. Think about how busy your mind is all day long. Like, worry about this, do that. I got a project coming up. Oh, I have to get home on time. Like all these different things are bombarding your mind. A lot of clutter up there. We got to declutter some of it. That way it's easier for us to look around in there, right? So if you think about a lake, very still, there's no wind, there's no rain. It's a beautiful day. You're on a bit of a nature walk. You could see that reflection in that lake very clearly. You could describe it to me if I asked. And if it started to rain, the wind picked up, maybe that reflection becomes less clear. The reflection's always there, right? Even if it's not clear enough for us to describe, it's still there. It's just obscured by the external conditions around it, the weather around it, right? So the same is true for your mind. Your mind by default, very calm, peaceful, cool, collected, right? There's that calm, peaceful self. It's in there, right? But all of the stress, anxiety, the commotion that's happening in our mind all day long, even unbeknownst to us, it is obscuring our ability to really connect with that peaceful self. So step one of any type of meditation is learning how to pacify all those thoughts a little bit. That way we can start to connect with peaceful you. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start by clearing away some of the raindrops that are obscuring our peaceful reflection, so to speak. And the way that we're going to do that is very fancily called single-pointed concentration. Focusing on one thing, right? That's it. Now, think about familiarization, right? There's that word again. Do you think you're more familiar with focusing on one thing exclusively or focusing on a bunch of things? It's a bunch of things. Our mind is multitasking all day long. Sometimes we want it to, sometimes we don't, and it's still kind of doing that, right? Our mind's like, hey, think about that thing that somebody said earlier that bothered you. You're like, no, I was watching a show. Hey, worry about that project coming up tomorrow. No, I'm gardening. Right? Our mind is kind of in the driver's seat and it's pulling us in different directions a lot. So we are going to start to train in focusing on one thing so exclusively that there's no room for the other stuff. Similar to if you've ever been in the zone, maybe like running, working out, or working on a project, right? Lose track of time. You don't hear the noises that normally bother you, right? We're going to learn how to do that intentionally with single-pointed concentration, or in layman's terms, breathing meditation. You've probably heard of breathing meditation before, but meditation isn't necessarily about focusing on your breath. We can focus on anything, but we do start with our breath because it is a really wonderful tool to have in our tool belt, because you have your breath with you all the time. So if you become really good at using your breath to relax, you could do this wherever, whenever, right? You don't need to go to a mountaintop or, sit by the ocean. That sounds lovely, but you don't need to do that in order to relax, in order to kind of connect with your relaxed self. Cool? Okay, so we're going to do a little breathing meditation now. And if this is your first time doing breathing meditation, instructionally pretty straightforward. We're going to make a choice. I am going to choose to focus on my breath. Right? Just we have to tell ourselves that, otherwise we won't do it. So we're going to choose to focus single-pointedly on our breath. And then whenever we notice our mind trying to go in a different direction, maybe thinking about something that happened earlier, something coming up later, we're just going to kind of say, not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. Right? We're not dismissing them. We're just, hey, I'll get to them later, mind. And then we're going to purposefully guide our attention back to breathing. Right? Choose to focus on your breath. Notice when your attention drifts from your breath. Bring your attention back to breathing. These steps are meditation. Right? We're training our mind to focus on something. Cool? Okay. So step one, get comfy. You'll notice that I'm sitting in a chair. You may be sitting in a chair too. You do not need to sit on the floor. Sometimes, that's kind of the image we have, or sitting on the floor with our legs crossed or whatnot. You can, if you'd like to, but it's not necessary. I think the most important thing is you're just relatively comfortable. That way you're not thinking about being uncomfortable. So find a nice little comfy spot. Even if you want to lay down, that's fine. Maybe it's late by you. And go ahead and close your eyes. And I'm going to guide us through about a 5-minute breathing meditation, just to get everyone familiar with how we go about meditating. Okay. Whenever we start a meditation, first things first, let's just take a moment, check in. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Happy, sad, tired, energetic. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We're not doing anything about it. We're just noticing. This is called mindfulness. It's a word you've undoubtedly heard before. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts, moment to moment, for the purpose of being able to respond skillfully to those thoughts. So just take a moment and check in. And having done that, you can now turn your full attention to your breath, breathing in and out, gently, naturally. You do not need to take big, deep breaths. You do not need to forcefully exhale. Just breathe very normally, casually. In and out. As you begin to relax a little bit into your chair or cushion, single-pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. following the air for its entire journey as it enters your nose and exits. Fully present with each breath, in and out, gently, naturally. At some point, you may notice your attention drifting a bit. Maybe your mind is trying to get you to think about something that happened earlier today. Or maybe something you have to do after this class ends. Whenever you've noticed that this has happened, we can just very gently say, not right now, to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. And then purposefully guide your attention back to breathing. In, out. Gently, naturally, as you begin to relax a little bit more into your chair or cushion. Fully present with each moment of your breath. This moment. And now this moment. And now this moment. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever you notice that it has drifted. This process of choosing to focus single-pointedly on your breath, noticing when your attention drifts, and being able to guide your attention back to breathing, that is meditation. You, right now, are meditating. You are training your mind to relax, to be happy, to be calm. You're becoming familiar with your relaxed self. How wonderful. So just for the next couple of moments, continue to breathe in and out and just enjoy sitting here in this moment. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hi. Are you awake? How'd that go? If it was your first time meditating, maybe you found it to be kind of difficult, right? Like, your mind is working a lot. And just because we all of a sudden decide that we're going to have our mind focus on one thing, sometimes there's resistance at first. Your mind is kind of like, what the heck are you doing? This is not what I do. I focus on lots of stuff all the time. So we have to train, right? Just like we would train to, I don't know, run a race, ride a bike, walk, everything that we were talking about before. It's all about making this process familiar to your mind, almost to the point where your mind looks forward to it, right? Sees the value in focusing on one thing. Cool? So it just takes some time. And the most important thing in kind of setting up setting yourself up for success for meditating is consistency, not length of the meditation. Do not worry about meditating for an hour. I do not recommend doing that. It's not necessary. The main thing to try to kind of do is consistent meditations each day. Maybe that is 2 minutes in the morning. Maybe that's 1 minute. Maybe that's 30 seconds. Maybe it's 10 seconds. Doesn't matter. As long as you're being honest with yourself about what you can commit to and you're sticking to it, you're going to start to see some progress. You're going to start to, this is going to become normalized for you, right? Lisa, you didn't even open your eyes once? That's a first. Oh, nice. You might be ready for bed. I'm glad. Okay, cool. So if you have any questions about meditation, breathing meditation, what the heck we were just doing or talking about, you can ask me still. I'm going to kind of move forward to our topic, but feel free to ask me whatever you want. Oh, Chris, that's a cool idea. You still use a blindfold. You still get tempted. Great solution. If you're, this is an interesting kind of aside here, because you may notice some people do not close their eyes when they meditate, right? Sometimes they're like half open. Yeah. So your eyes can be open when you meditate. Sometimes people, when they close their eyes, it's almost like their mind feels busier, I've heard. So you can experiment with that. Now, if you, most people do close their eyes because it's, as Chris was saying, right, we're tempted to kind of look around. It's visual distractions, but feel free to experiment. There's no one way to do this, right? Cool. Where can you get a replay of this? So this class will be available to rewatch probably tomorrow. I think it'll be on YouTube and all ready for you. All my other past classes are also on my YouTube channel, so you can go check those out if you want. Cool. Okay, so the topic for today is all about how can we use meditation to help us accomplish our goals, right? Big. I'm a saint now. I'm just a normal guy. Okay. So, in order to kind of see how meditation can help us, first we got to do a little analysis of what is going on that's making us kind of, what are the roadblocks, I guess would be how I would phrase it, for accomplishing our goals, right? Why are we putting things off? Really, what we're talking about here today is a lack of motivation, which I suffer from greatly. And I am sure there are plenty of you who do as well. Procrastinating, getting discouraged, all these things kind of fall into this category, right? So when we're in the meditation world, we talk a lot about opposing forces or feelings, right? So anger and patience are kind of like opposites, right? They're opposing forces. If we have more patience, we have less anger, right? Now with motivation, it's effort, right? Effort and lack of motivation, right? So this is the seesaw that we're trying to balance a little bit, and even just a little bit, right? We don't need to be like, oh, I'm motivated all the time, but we're going to start to think about some ways we can just tilt it a little bit back in the other direction. Okay. So there are 3 things we're going to talk about. And then we're going to do a meditation that focuses on one of them specifically. And these 3 things we're going to talk about are 3 major contributors to lack of motivation, which is a direct blocker for us accomplishing all the great things that we want to accomplish. So these 3 things are, they all start with D. So we can call them the 3 Ds, I guess. I don't know. Delay, disinterest, and discouragement. And these are kind of like a loop, right? One leads into the other and then they lead back, and we can get trapped in this loop of delaying, disinterest, and discouragement, right? So we're going to talk about each of those individually. Sorry, I keep clearing my throat. I don't know, something's going on. So delay, named delay so it fit in with the 3D cool thing, but it's procrastination. And this is a huge cog in this wheel of lack of motivation, right? Probably the biggest. And it is definitely one that I struggle with a lot, right? Procrastination is kind of the catalyst for a lack of motivation. And when we think about procrastination, there's a underlying message that we're telling ourselves, even if we're not like outright telling ourselves, but it's there. And what we're saying is, I know this is important, but now is not the right time, right? And that could be something small like laundry, put that off a lot, right? I know it's important for me to have clean clothes, but not right now, right? Or it can be like, a longer term goal, becoming an artist or a writer or, whatever your personal goals are, right? Learning a new language, right? I know it's important to do, but I don't really, but practicing right now, that's not happening. Now's not the right time for that, right? Carrie, so discouraged because of a challenging illness. I can relate. I have a chronic illness as well. So maybe I'll try to weave that in a little bit. Carrie, you should check out, I think last week we did a meditation that was more for sleep, but it works really well for chronic illness. It's all about kind of thanking our body for all that it's done. And giving it permission to relax. I know that's like a weird thing to just kind of throw out there, but you might find it interesting. You can check that out. Okay. So, procrastination, I know this is important, but now is not the right time, right? And that's kind of our launch pad into lack of motivation, right? So then if we keep putting things off, what happens? We become disinterested, right? So disinterest is the next kind of point in this wheel. And disinterest is when we become increasingly attracted to other things that are not our goal, right? We are putting our goal off, and then we're, doing other things, and we're increasingly interested in doing these other things and not our goal. And then we start to view our goal as getting in the way of doing other things, right? And what's happening is we're developing a negative mental link between our goal and, bad or annoying or, I don't want to practice this language. I want to watch TV, right? So we're starting to layer in disinterest into our goal, right? Mary, the meditation techniques, trying to be more mindful throughout the day on my breath and change what you're thinking. Try to be more calmer, feeling less stressed wherever I'm at. That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, that's what we're after, right? Great. Way to put it out into practice like that. All right. So, delay, procrastination leads to disinterest. We start to view our goal as getting in the way of doing other things, right? We develop this negative mental link. And now we can start to see that we're changing the way that we view this goal. What once was something that was the greatest thing we could be focusing on now is getting in the way, right? And so next, sometimes we realize that we're doing this. We realize that we're procrastinating. We realize that we're maybe losing interest, disinterested. And what happens? Somebody said the word, Carrie did, discouraged, right? We become discouraged. And discouragement, right? Let's do the example of being a writer, right? We start to feel incapable. Why do I always do this? I can't be a writer. If I did, I would write, right? When we recognize that we're procrastinating and disinterested, it leads to feeling very discouraged, feeling incapable or helpless, right? It's kind of like learned helplessness of something, right? And this in turn creates what? More procrastination and disinterest. And if we feel really bad about ourselves for doing this, we're not going to kind of all of a sudden be motivated to do it necessarily, right? So that's the loop. And this part discouragement is difficult because it is very intimately linked with self-image. And maybe I'll do that next week. It's a good little lead-in. But self-image is kind of, that's how you view yourself. And if we identify as somebody who is unable to accomplish this goal, well, that's what we think of ourselves. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So we can see how these three things play into us struggling to accomplish things that we want to accomplish. And you might be in any one of these categories, right? It's not like everyone's procrastinating or everyone's discouraged. So you have to take some time to think about, hey, where am I in this loop? And we talked a little bit about mindfulness in our, I mentioned it in our meditation, an active awareness of your own thoughts so that you can respond to those thoughts, right? Mindfulness is huge for recognizing where in this cycle you are, right? So let's talk about what the responses might be from a meditation perspective for any one of these categories, any one of these spots. Right? So if you're discouraged, and maybe I'll save a lot of this because I think it'll be good to talk about it next week. Carrie, so true. I've been working on my writing for so long, it's still not finished. So much procrastinating. Yeah, see, we all do it. We all do it, but it gets easier to procrastinate over time, right? Why? Because we get really familiar with putting things off, right? So we'll talk a little bit about some of the things you might be able to try. Janelle, negative inner critic tries to take over positivity. Yes. And this is the self-image stuff, the discouragement. And it's challenging to overcome that, but it can be done, right? Again, we'll save that for next time. Okay. So are you discouraged? Right? Maybe that's where you are. You're kind of thinking about it. You're like, hey, you know what? I'm kind of definitely in this discouragement category. I can't do this. I'm not good at this. What do we do, right? What we want to try to do is separate thoughts from you, right? Now we connect the things we're thinking to us, right? If I am thinking I'm unable to do this, I am unable to do this, right? It's like that self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And so sometimes it can be helpful to think about things that you actually have accomplished, right? And think, hey, you know what? I have been able to accomplish a lot of stuff in my life. We've accomplished a lot, you know? I mean, even going back to walking, we can walk. That's cool, right? So I'm not going to focus too much on this because I think I will save it for next time because it's a very big topic, self-image. But if you are in the discouragement category, working on your self-image is huge, right? Changing the way you talk to yourself about yourself, huge. Right? So maybe you're doing a little analysis of why you're struggling with sticking to your goal or whatever, and you're like, you know what, I'm disinterested. That's what's going on with me, right? I'd just rather do something else. Maybe you're saying like, oh, I gotta insert thing that you are doing, right? Oh, I gotta study this language or whatnot. What can we do? Like, how can we maybe use meditation, thought to help with this, right? And this is the one I think we're going to do a meditation on today. When we're disinterested, we need to remind ourselves why we want to accomplish this goal. What are the benefits? What would your life be like if you were able to accomplish this, right? Over time, it's easy to forget about why this would be beneficial. And over time, we put it off, and then we forget how cool it would be to do this, how amazing we would feel, how much better our day, our life would be. So using meditation to kind of think about the benefits of something is an amazing way to help with this kind of disinterested state if you're feeling a lack of motivation. Right? And then delay or procrastination, whatever you want to call it, this is definitely the most common part to be in, I would presume. And this, again, is I'll do it later, right? Now is not the right time. I know this is important, but now is not the right time. And there are two techniques, meditations, contemplations, whatever you want to call it, to think about if you're finding yourself kind of stuck in that procrastination state. First is we have to recognize that we have a really great opportunity right now, right? Because that goes against, right, what we're telling ourselves with procrastination. When we are procrastinating, there's an assumption, right? The assumption is I'll have time to do this later, right? But we have a great opportunity right now, right? We're, relatively healthy, we're living in a time with technology that puts information at our fingertips. We can learn the things that we want to learn. Like, there's a lot going for us. We're a human instead of a bug or something like that. I mean, kind of funny, but it's true, right? So we have a pretty good opportunity right now, and we have to remind ourselves that that's the case, right? And then that kind of leads into the next thing to contemplate and meditate on. We have a great opportunity, and we don't know, we can't say with certainty how long this opportunity will last, this life that we have, right? Procrastination assumes that we'll have the opportunity to do things later. Is this true? Can you say that with certainty? Right? We just don't know, because life is very unpredictable. You don't need me to tell you that. It happens all the time. We see it everywhere. It happens to us, friends. You just don't know. There's no guarantees, right? The only guarantee is now. And so now is a good time to do it, right? So these are the things that we can meditate on, think about, to try to help us chip away at whatever part of this cog we're in, right? Delay, procrastination, disinterest, or discouragement. Cool? Carrie, I'm laughing at myself because, yes, here I've got this nice washer and dryer. I get so disinterested going down to use them. Now, I identify with this because I used to live in New York City where nobody had any laundry stuff. You had to walk all over the place to do it. And I was like, oh, you know what? The reason I'm procrastinating is that I have to walk to the laundromat. Had I had a washer and dryer in my home, surely I would never procrastinate. And here I am. I have moved now, and I have a washer and dryer, and nothing has changed. Right? We'll find ways. We'll find ways to put it off. And there's some other, there's a million different things we can do to try to chip away at these things. These are just three that I brought up, but yes, laundry is not fun. Okay, so your homework, there's no actual homework, but if you want to, your homework is to think about something that you have wanted to accomplish or trying to accomplish, whatever. Maybe you've put it off for a really long time, but it's still in the back of your mind, and think about each of these steps and maybe some of the ways that you're engaging with these steps to reinforce feeling disinterested, discouraged, or procrastinating. And then what can we do about it, right? So I want to do a meditation now together. It'll be maybe a little longer than last time, not much. And we'll start pretty much the same way. We always really start with some breathing meditation to relax a little bit. And then we're going to do a very short exercise on combating disinterest, right? And it's pretty much the things that we talked about. But we're going to do it while we're meditating, which is basically called contemplation. Contemplation is meditating on an idea. Instead of meditating on our breath, we're meditating on a thought or idea. Right? Lisa, laundry literally is never ending story. I know. I'm glad we can all come together in our mutual misery of laundry. All right, so get relaxed once again. Maybe you're realizing that the seat you thought was comfortable, no, it's not comfortable, and you'd like to change. Go ahead and do that. That's fine. Maybe you're just tired of hearing me talk. Keith, you talk too much. I got to lay down. Go lay down. That's fine. Make sure you're nice and comfy, and go ahead and close your eyes. And we're going to do a short breathing meditation followed by a very short contemplation on effort. Okay. Once again, let's just check in really quickly. How are you feeling now? We're not comparing it to before. Before is gone. We're just noticing how we're feeling now, in this moment. We're practicing mindfulness. We're practicing noticing what our mind is up to, which will allow us to identify if we're feeling discouraged, disinterested, or if we're procrastinating. And having checked in, you can now once again turn your attention to your breath. Smooth, gentle breathing in and out. Very natural. Following the air as it enters your nose, sits, and exits. Moment to moment awareness of each breath, in and out. As you begin to relax once again into your chair or cushion. And at some point, you'll most likely notice your mind wandering a bit, thinking about something that happened in the past, or something coming up later in the future. Whenever you notice that this has happened, we can just say not right now to those thoughts, and then we're going to guide our attention back to the present moment. Guide your attention back to breathing in and out, gently, naturally. As you start to really plug into your breath, single-pointedly focus on each breath, you may begin to notice some sensations about breathing that you hadn't really thought of before. Maybe you're noticing how the air, it feels cool temperature-wise every time you breathe in. And every time you breathe out, well, it feels a bit warmer, doesn't it? How interesting. Or maybe you're noticing your body moving with each breath. Shoulders rising, falling. Your chest expanding, contracting. Every aspect of you, body, mind, breathing, an active participant in each breath. When we single-pointedly focus on an activity, we start to notice some subtle joys about that activity. Right now, you are noticing subtle joys about breathing. How wonderful that you're able to truly find joy in something as simple and accessible as breathing in and out. So having engaged in breathing meditation for a little while, we've cleared some space in our mind, decluttered it a bit. And now we can use that more clear, relaxed mind state to think about something, to contemplate, to become familiar with something. So I'd like you to bring to mind a goal that you have. It can be small. It can be large. It could be something you're doing now. It could be something that you haven't done in a long time. It could be something that you haven't started yet. It doesn't matter. Just think of something you want to accomplish. And I'd like you to bring to mind why you want to accomplish this goal. What are the benefits of achieving this goal? Really imagine it. How would accomplishing this change your day? How would it change your year? How would it change your life? And then finally think about how accomplishing this goal would help other people. Maybe you would be happier and more readily available to your friends, family. Just think about how your goal would positively affect those around you. These touch points, these things that you have brought to mind, these benefits, these are what you will fall back on whenever you find yourself feeling a little disinterested in accomplishing this goal. These are your key reminders of why it's important to do this and why now is a great time to start. You can think about these benefits that you came up with. Whenever you can, we're familiarizing our mind with the benefits of accomplishing this goal. That way, our mind doesn't forget how important it is to us. And so just for the next couple of moments, just sit with that goal in your mind. Nothing else. Just sit with it. Okay. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Guys got some good goals? So I didn't really mention too much about contemplation, but contemplation and meditation are very similar. Oftentimes when we say meditation, we're thinking about our breath or whatnot, but we can meditate on anything. And in this case, we meditated on our breath to start, and then we meditated on a goal. We meditated on an idea, something we want to accomplish, right? And then we meditated on what the benefits are, right? We're focused single-pointedly on these thoughts, right? They're becoming, and what happens is the same reason that we focus on our breath, right? All other stuff starts to part a little bit, and we can really plug in, right? Awesome. Cool. Amazing. Chris, more real estate, smarter investments. Great. Now, this is a great one. This is a great example of the last point. How does this help other people, right? How do we give back a little bit when we're making these smarter investments and stuff like that, right? Awesome. Great job. This is not easy stuff. I know it's a lot of information, but hopefully you maybe connect with at least one of these little steps, right? We're all in different stages of the loop. We're all in different stages of the loop. So think about that, and think about how some of these things we talked about might be able to help remind you why you're doing this in the first place, right? Chris, amazing. Yes, amazing. Perfect. That's exactly like what we want to get at, right? Not only is this a benefit for me, but it's a benefit for other people, right? So we've hit both sides, right? It's win-win. Everyone wins, which is a good motivator to help us move forward, right? Awesome. Okay. Carrie, definitely connected. Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. And thank you for taking time out of your very busy day to learn about meditation and meditate with me. I love teaching, and I couldn't do it without you guys. If you had fun, come on back next week. I do this every Wednesday, barring some sort of event that I need to go to or whatnot, or an internet outage, which seems to be happening more often than not in my little mountain town. Chris, thank you. That means a lot to me. So come on back. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel and you feel comfortable doing so, that'd be an awesome, put a big smile on my face. Let's the algorithm of the internet that I can't begin to understand, know that people are interested in this. And it's a great benefit for you too. You get reminded when I'm going live with a meditation, right? Oh no, it's Wednesday, right? And all my old videos are up. All my old sessions are up on my YouTube channel. So somebody was interested in chronic illness. I have one on that. You can go check out, right? Cool. And if you're like, hey, meditation rocks, I'm super interested. I do teach one-on-one classes. It is the best way to really start to tap into what meditation can do for you, because we all are here for different reasons, right? We all want to learn how to meditate for different reasons. Maybe you're here for anxiety. Maybe someone else is here for loneliness, right? Whatever is going on in your life, we can focus on that. So if that sounds interesting to you, doing a one-on-one class or whatnot, you just email me and we'll find a time to do it. I do them over Zoom. It's very casual, very laid back. We'll have some fun. So I'm going to put my email in the chat now. It is keith@meditationbreaks.com. Full concentration as I type this word. I've typed many times, but always seem to mess up. Okay, there we go. That's my email. Feel free to email me if you want to do a one-on-one class, if maybe you think this would be cool to bring into your workplace. I do a lot. Or, I don't know, you just want to ask me what my favorite movie is. Well, you can email me whatever you want. Don't hesitate to ask any questions that come up. All right. And once again, thank you, everyone. Chris, Janelle, Patricia, Mary, Lisa, everybody. Thank you for Patrick. Thank you for being here, Carrie, and for being such an awesome community. You guys are the best. All right. Have a great week, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday.